Hi everyone. This year time flew by really quickly for me, and my children says that also. I previously created a video about the excitement of starting homeschooling with Cabrillo Charter, and the longer I do this, I find a lot of great things that I love about the charter school. Here's a sneak peek into our homeschooling journey. And I'm going to show you the schedule that we have, that we follow also, and hopefully this will help you. So when I first started out, there were a lot of things that Cabrillo offered, and with the charter fund, so many opportunities, so many classes that my children can take. And I think just the volume of options really overwhelmed me, and then I wanted to do everything, but I know I have to cut down because there's not enough time or energy to do everything. And so the process of filtering out what I really wanted for my children at education was the hardest part. And then I tried to cram a lot of things in their schedule, and then it took me probably 2 months to actually get it into a state that it's cookie cutter state where I can just plan their lesson the night before, print out what I need, and then go do the next day. And now that I have it down to formula, I wanted to share what we have with you. One thing that I would like you to know about us is a lot of homeschoolers seems to kind of relax. They said that homeschool should not mirror school. I'm in a different camp. I wanted to homeschool because I wanted my children to have mastery over their core subject like math, English, writing, and that was my goal. I didn't think that when they went to school, even though it's virtual academy and we were with them, it's just the pacing. It's like, oh, you gotta get this done. And sometimes I feel like they haven't mastered the skill, and then they pushed to go on instead of spending enough time for. And so I wanted it to be like school but better than school. That is where we're coming from. If your homeschool philosophy is different from that, then maybe this isn't right for you. But for people who have that mindset, hopefully this works. So this is a lesson that this is my cookie cutter. So every Friday I plan for the next week, and then or I jot down all the resources that I want to do, and this is kind of my backlog. So you can see with this, I know that I want my children to start out with the Bible. So I have some YouTube videos that are from Answer in Genesis that if I run out of things to do, I want them to watch these. And then so Monday and Tuesday they're going to be watching these video where it builds character and just thinking skills from a biblical perspective. We made these video ourselves, and it's kind of like a letter from me and from their dad to them, kind of like transferring our wisdom to them. Then on the rest of the days we then do Case Maker Academy. So I read the book Cold Case Christianity, and I thought that was really good, and so I found out that there's a kid version and then there's activity on the website that goes along with the book. And so what we do on Sunday night, we would read a chapter, and then they're gonna watch the video that is related to that chapter on Wednesday, and then they're gonna do the 2 worksheets related to that chapter Thursday and Friday, and it might go into the Saturday. And so that's a resource that I would greatly suggest. I think it's been really good to have those conversation and read about those, how to think and how to test your witnesses. What is a good eyewitness? What kind of thing do you look for when you're looking for truth? Then after that, first we did Beast Academy, but then Beast Academy didn't have enough, like, they have 2 tries to get it right, and then if it's wrong, then it's like a grade. It doesn't give them enough problems to practice. And so even though we really like the skills taught in Beast Academy, that didn't work for us. Then we went to Exact Path, and it was good for a while until they started to not understand the material even with the video. And so what we found worked better was IXL, where it's like a practice. I set the minimum at 90, and then they just have to work on it until they reach 90. And sometimes if a concept is hard for them, like my son was stuck in word problem, then I would have it repeated, that lesson repeated multiple days until he can get to 90 by himself. I would have him try 5 problem by himself, and then if he doesn't do well, then I would sit with him on 3 problem, guiding him through it, and then have him try it again the next day. And that has been working well for us. I think like in AI, right, you feed information into the AI and you train them on a lot of data, and the more data you give them, the more kind of scenarios they do, they get smarter. So our kids, I don't see why we would only rely on 10 problems when maybe the kid actually need 20 or even more problems in order to develop the skills that they need to get the pattern, to understand the relationship. And so IXL Math has been great for us, and this is free with Cabrillo Point. Then Exact Path is also a free program with Cabrillo Point, and we at first started them out with Exact Path Math, Language, and reading, but we since dropped that and we only use Exact Path Language. I think the lessons are great and it's simple enough for them to do. One of the things with Exact Path is if you do it wrong, you have to start the lesson all over again. And I don't think that's really right. Sometimes you just need the practice until you see the pattern. And so I didn't like that for reading and math, and so that's why I only kept Exact Path Language. Then there's IXL Reading. Like I mentioned, we started off with Exact Path Reading, but I felt like the IXL, similar to the math, the many problems, that gives them more practice. And then I pay for Math Facts. This is only extramath.org. It's only $2 a year. It gives me a grid of what our children like the facts that they know, and I can break it up. I want them to do addition, subtraction, then multiplication, then division in that order, and then after that I mix it all up. So my 4th grader now is on the mixed part because she already got through those 4 stages and got 100 at least once. And so then now it's a mix, and just I want her to just do it as a habit so that she can just practice. Because I remember when I was in high school, I was helping a 9th grader class, and I saw that some of the kids in 9th grade were still doing math with their finger, and that is such an impediment. That grade, you need to start thinking more abstractly, and you can't even get the calculation down. And so I don't want my kid to be in that situation, so I'm very dead set on making them doing their math drills so that they remember their math facts quickly, and that will help them further, I think. And then my daughter, she have speech with Cabrillo, and I think their speech teacher is really good. The one that we have right now, she actually have real world experience working for a clinic before, and so she knows about motor, how to control the tongue and stuff like that. And so I'm really grateful that she is teaching my child, because she focuses on where the tongue should be and stuff like that, and that's what my child needs because she doesn't have that motor skill, or she just doesn't know where anything in her mouth is. We go to Kaiser, and there's we spent a lot of time there already, and she progressed a lot. So now with the extra help from the speech therapist, her charter school, that would be great for her too. And she meets twice a week for 30 minutes. And then I remember when I was young, we do a 5-minute drill where we fix grammatical errors. And so I found that critical thinking have editor-in-chief, so I'm going through that. The other thing that I wanted my kids to use a lot is the graphic organizer. So we bought this organizing thinking book also from Critical Thinking Company, and we're going through that and just learning how to use it. I really like mystery science because I'm very skill based, and so that's why mystery writing here is good for me, because mystery writing, when you start out, right, it has a video usually, or sometimes it has a video that you watch, and then it has this, and then it has word bank to help the children generate ideas. And for my daughter, she has problem generating ideas, so the word bank really helped her build that thinking skill and get more creative. And then it's easier for her to look at the word bank and then be able to write, and instead of like being given a blank piece of paper and have to fill it herself. So it's kind of like an aid. And I found that with both of my children, a 4th grader and 2nd grader, their writing have improved a lot through these aid, and they know what personification is, what simile is, when to use it, and it's fun for them. So that's our writing. Then my daughter have LPAC, which is English Second Learner, so we do worksheets for her, but that is only on Wednesday and Thursday. And so I split it up. So at first we try to do a little bit every day, and then when I see the workload is too much, I started to remove it, and I started to do it on only some day, and that fits into our schedule most. And then we also do Generation Genius. I try to correlate this to, so Monday and Tuesday, Monday is usually social science day, and Tuesday is usually science day. And because social science and science have a lot of reading, because we're using Study Weekly, it's a lot of reading, we then don't do reading on those days because it's covered by the other subject. And then I try to correlate that to science and math videos from Generation Genius. And this is a subscription that is also free with Cabrillo. So Cabrillo has a lot of free stuff that are great. What I do though, I want them to read. I know that if it's fun, they're gonna remember it more. But the fun part, I rely on a Generation Genius video to supplement, to make it fun. I wanted them to learn from reading, because that is a skill that they're gonna need for college, and it's just for self-learning in general. You need that skill to be able to read something and understand it. However, I've been changing the prompt a lot, and I'll show you how it works now. So I've been changing the prompt a lot so that when my child, it's interactive, so that my children read everything with purpose, understanding the sentences, understanding the keyword, understanding what is going on. So then the gauge is that Study Weekly usually have questions and answer at the end. Before, I have them interactively read with a AI tutor, that their scores were really low. but afterward it got a lot better, especially for my son. My daughter is still struggling, but she's getting there, better than before. So I will show you. So what I did is I have a prompt, and this is Varsity Tutor. So this is another free one with Cabrillo. And so I tried, the first time I tried Varsity Tutor, I had my child talk with a actual tutor, not an AI tutor. And the first experience was great. However, the second experience and the third experience, we had tutors that would just hang up on us. And then there are tutors that I would sit there and I see that they were giving my daughter the answer instead of helping her come up with the answer. So I'm like, I went in and I'm like, can you help her to answer it instead of using your answer? And then they hung up too. So ever since then, I have been using an AI tutor. I think they're great. And I kept on refining my prompt to help my child learn a little bit better. So I'll show you what I did. I paste in the prompt, and then it would ask me for a paragraph, and I copy all the paragraph from Study Weekly so that my daughter can just copy it over and interact that way. And so you see now it's more like, instead of reading, it's reading and answering question, reading and comprehension. It's more interactive, so I think it makes the process better, and I have more confidence that my daughter really understand what she is doing. So right here, what I tell her is read this, and then when it asks this, then you can do what kind of places did they early live in. So it would be inhabited. So they live in mountain, high desert, like this one. And then it will then ask her for a summary. Instead of her coming up with a summary, there are a few of these, and then she just needs to choose one. Let's choose a bad one, a wrong one. So right here. So then it gently nudge her, giving her a hint. Let's say she still does it wrong, then look for a phrase that means. So it keep on trying to help her. So you can see that this is how my child starts to learn summarization, pretty much distilling a few sentences or an idea down to very key words. I saw that my child, she didn't understand a lot of words, and so she would be guessing at what it's actually saying instead of looking up the word. And when I sit with her, I'm like, look up the word. What word you don't understand, look it up. However, she doesn't spend the time to do that, so I put that into the prompt. So then you can see this is a more interactive process, and I think that will prepare her well for the future now that she have these belt, especially AI, just helping her at her disposal. And that would take up the whole Tuesday and the whole Monday, and that's why it's a lot of reading on those 2 days. We start off very strong, and then we actually reduce the workload as it goes on, where we transition more to work packet and not as reading heavy. So that has been working well for us for the last month. And I found from this video, you can see that there's a lot of resources that are free and that are great that Cabrillo allows us to use. I think my children are learning much more. They're learning, whenever they say they know something, they can explain it to me, or they even come up with math questions. They would be learning word problem, and then they would come up with their own word problem, which is like my ultimate guide to understanding something, is when you actually can come up with your own problem and answer. And I think they did that just for fun, and it's just great to see that. And I think it has, and then we also have time as a family to do fun things together, to take fun classes together. Oh, and I wanted to show this one. So Varsity Tutor also have live classes, and so we have all these classes that you can, these are kind of fun classes. Well, actually you have to choose minus second and fourth. And so there's AI classes for coding, there's animal classes, there's writing, reading, and math classes, story, AI detective club. This is coming up. We are really excited for this class. So many resources. And so we pretty much can use all of our funds for extracurricular activity. And that's pretty much our kid being able to take elective classes in elementary school. Right now they're really enjoying robotics and engineering, and we also let them have a PE class also at a homeschool center that we go to. So going to school with them, there's a parent lounge where we sit, and then we would wait for them for their class, and they just go to their class, they meet us up for lunch, and then they're off in their way. And it's the feeling of being able to be with your family and help your kid learn and thrive is just so wonderful. And these options weren't available to me, and they're available to my children. And so we are just so grateful and so blessed to be able to experience and live life with our children, and being able to pour into our children what we learn, and to learn and grow alongside of them. And that has been the best part of this. Cabrillo's resources, their teachers, they, all of that is icing on the cake, and we love it.